The monitor faded to black for precisely 4 seconds. Suddenly, Pete Hegseth's face materialized in high definition with pristine sound, seated opposite Maria Bartiromo during a Fox News broadcast on March 14th, and the statements escaping his lips were poised to demolish every single defense he had constructed for this exact occasion. Senator Jack Reed engaged the playback button. The entire chamber fell utterly quiet before Hegseth's unmistakable voice echoed across the room. I have never commanded any unsanctioned military attack presentation to occur beyond the recognized hierarchy of leadership. That situation has absolutely never occurred. It never took place during my tenure. It did not happen a single time. Reed allowed the footage to run for another 9 seconds. He subsequently paused the video, freezing the image of Hegseth's face towering 12 feet high while uttering the claim that it never happened. Reed then pivoted toward the witness desk where Hegseth currently sat under sworn oath and delivered a phrase that caused the whole room to erupt. Allow me to demonstrate the opposite. If you are newly discovering the Homeless People channel, hit subscribe immediately because the material Reed is preparing to broadcast represents the most destructive confidential media introduced during a Senate Armed Services proceeding all year. This recording is not some illicitly distributed snippet. This constitutes an authorized internal Defense Department conference room video containing verified time-stamped metadata that captures Pete Hegseth doing precisely what he just assured Fox News had never taken place. The setting was the Senate Armed Services Committee chamber designated SR 222 on a Thursday morning. The official schedule described the gathering as a review covering Department of Defense command protocols along with tactical security measures. It was supposed to be completely routine. There is that misleading descriptor once more. These proceedings are practically never ordinary. Reed strode inside clutching a dark encrypted data drive secured by military-grade housing that security personnel had processed through 3 distinct scanning devices. The senator placed the device on the table and uttered a brief introductory statement. It was legally requisitioned and supplied by the Pentagon. Hegseth possessed absolutely no clue regarding the contents of that storage device. His attorneys were equally clueless about the situation. They were on the verge of discovering the truth while the entire nation observed the live broadcast. The initial 60 minutes unfolded exactly as Hegseth had anticipated, covering financial distributions, troop mobilization schedules, and tactical preparedness statistics. The secretary delivered his typical responses in an authoritative and measured manner. He appeared to be completely at ease. He genuinely believed he understood how the session would conclude. That was when Reed grabbed the microphone and completely altered the trajectory of the event. "Mr. Secretary," Reed began with a hushed and calculated voice that carried the distinct sound of a man who had already secured victory. "During the 14th of March, you participated in a Fox business broadcast alongside Maria Bartiromo. Throughout that conversation, you delivered a highly definitive declaration regarding unsanctioned attack presentations. I need your precise phrasing entered into the official transcript before I reveal my discoveries to this panel." He physically rotated his display monitor to face the document capture lens. The written record from the Fox Business segment instantly populated across every television screen inside the chamber. Reed proceeded to recite the text audibly for the crowd. "Maria Bartiromo questioned you by asking whether any individual within your department had ever executed presentations beyond the recognized leadership hierarchy. Your response, Mr. Secretary, was that you had never directed any unsanctioned military attack presentation to occur beyond the recognized leadership hierarchy. You insisted that such an event had never taken place. You claimed it did not happen during your administration. You emphasized that it never occurred a single time in history." The senator lifted his gaze from the documentation. He asked the secretary if he continued to support that declaration today while under sworn testimony. Hegseth confidently shifted his posture forward. He replied with absolute certainty to the senator. He asserted that every presentation executed beneath his command had strictly adhered to appropriate regulations without exception. The senator casually replied that this was an ideal answer. Reed shut his portfolio and remarked that the upcoming evidence ought to be incredibly simple to justify. He grabbed a control device and offered a nod of approval to the audiovisual specialist. The overhead illumination darkened while the display sparked to life, and the resulting image prompted every reporter inside the space to grab their mobile devices all at once. The video clip did not originate from a television journalism outlet. It represented an authorized recording captured from inside a Defense Department crisis center. A chronological watermark located in the corner displayed February 28th, exactly 6 weeks prior to Hegseth appearing on Fox Business to claim the event was a fiction. A geographical marker identified the space as the highly secure subterranean Pentagon meeting area designated C4, and Pete Hegseth was clearly visible occupying the lead position at the table in stunning high-definition resolution. The recorded sound quality was absolutely flawless. The vocal tones of the secretary broadcasted with impeccable clarity. He was heard stating that the leading military commanders did not require inclusion during the initial evaluation period. He instructed his team to execute the attack simulation review beforehand. He explained that they would subsequently provide limited presentations to their superiors. He clarified that he was not advocating for total concealment. He insisted that he was merely demanding a modified timeline for the information flow. He complained that the traditional protocol generated an excessive amount of bureaucratic resistance. An unseen individual on the recording warned the secretary that such an action would technically position the primary presentation beyond the boundaries of standard leadership protocol. The recorded version of Hegseth retorted that the specific word technically was carrying a significant burden in that particular statement. He ordered the staff to classify the gathering as an initial tactical evaluation rather than an official presentation. The senator immediately paused the media playback. He allowed that final directive to linger throughout the chamber, repeating the instruction to classify it as an initial tactical evaluation rather than an official presentation. He faced the witness and pointed out that the footage showed the secretary on February 28th ordering defense personnel to execute attack simulation reviews beyond the top commander's authority and to record the event in a manner designed to mask its true nature. Exactly 6 weeks following that meeting, you assured the American public that such an incident had never transpired. You claimed it had never happened even a single time. The hearing chamber did not escalate into chaos at a slow pace. The entire crowd exploded into shocked murmurs without a moment of delay. At this juncture, it is necessary to pause the narrative for a brief moment. Assuming you feel the citizens of this nation possess a right to understand the internal workings of the Defense Department, please promote this upload immediately. The promotion feature is located directly adjacent to the standard approval icon. Viewers are granted the ability to boost content 3 separate times each day without any financial cost. Our community possesses exactly 1 week to propel this specific upload into the upper echelon of the most heavily promoted content across the platform. Execute that action immediately and continue observing, as the senator possesses an additional recording that is significantly more damaging. The senator re-engaged the media playback system. The recorded video seamlessly resumed its progression. Another subordinate was heard asking what would occur to the paperwork assuming the project advanced to an official presentation phase. The recorded secretary responded that the paperwork would simply be integrated into the official dossier. He explained that the initial procedural step would effectively vanish from the bureaucratic record. He noted that this vanishing act was the entire purpose of the strategy. He confidently declared that no regulatory body ever inspects the foundational planning stages. The senator abruptly halted the recording once again. He repeated the chilling phrase about how no regulatory body inspects the foundational planning stages. He locked eyes with the disgraced official. You engineered a paperwork framework expressly formulated to ensure initial attack presentations would evaporate prior to entering the legitimate archives. Following that deception, you proceeded onto national television and informed the American citizens that these events were completely fictional. The defense counsel attempted an interjection, arguing to the chairman that his client had been participating in a valid tactical strategy dialogue perfectly aligned with his legal purview. The senator commanded the legal representative to return to his seat. The seasoned lawmaker maintained a remarkably steady vocal volume. Your client offered sworn testimony a mere half-minute prior, asserting that this situation never occurred. I have merely broadcasted visual evidence proving that it absolutely did occur. He rotated to address the entire panel to explain why the situation was exponentially more severe. That specific Fox Business appearance did not represent the solitary instance where the secretary pushed this falsehood. During the 19th of March, he delivered the identical fabrication to journalists at CNN. By the 24th of March, he reiterated the lie during a Senate Financial Committee session, which was similarly conducted under sworn testimony. Upon the 2nd of April, he formalized the deception within a written document supplied to this very panel, amounting to 9 distinct instances between mid-March and mid-April, wherein he publicly insisted that presentations of this type never took place. He lied 9 separate times, with every single instance occurring following the late February gathering where his own department's surveillance equipment captured him executing that exact behavior. The lawmaker gently placed his documentation onto the desk. He informed the official that these actions did not constitute a simple verbal error. That represents an intentional and prolonged effort to repudiate a reality you fully understood was captured on Defense Department surveillance. Did it slip your mind that the Subterranean Crisis Center contained government monitoring hardware, or did you simply assume this legislative body lacked the authority to procure the footage? A conservative lawmaker representing Texas called for a point of order to inquire precisely how Senator Reid had secured the media. The colleague questioned whether a prohibited leak had taken place. The interrogator offered a slight grin. He expressed genuine appreciation for the procedural inquiry. He hoisted the official legal summons into the air. This document is an Armed Services Committee mandate authorized on the 20th of April and aimed at the Defense Department, demanding the surrender of all internal session media captured within their secure gathering spaces between the beginning of February and the middle of March. The military's internal team of attorneys scrutinized the demand. The department ultimately yielded to the legal order. This specific video was surrendered directly by the Defense Department bureaucracy. The senator halted his speech for dramatic effect. The very agency commanded by the witness voluntarily transferred this recording into our possession. That suggests either the staff remained ignorant of the file's contents, or a specific individual within the military hierarchy strongly desired for this panel to view the evidence. The seasoned lawmaker pivoted his attention back toward the disgraced secretary. He announced that the interrogation was incomplete because he had meticulously examined the digital background information. This media was recorded concurrently by 4 distinct surveillance networks operating as 4 autonomous feeds. Each of the 4 digital items possesses matching chronological markers, matching sound profiles, and matching visual substance. This material has not been altered or deceptively truncated. It stands as a legitimate military documentation validated by 4 distinct hardware arrays. He offered one final gesture of approval toward the audiovisual expert. An additional recording populated the screen showing the identical subterranean space on the 11th of March, which was precisely 11 days prior to the Fox Business broadcast. The secretary was once again seated at the primary position of authority. During this gathering, the dialogue did not center around tactical attack preparation. The discussion focused entirely upon the media captured on the 28th of February. A high-ranking subordinate appeared noticeably anxious while informing his superior about internal anxieties regarding the late February meeting. The subordinate warned that if the legislative committee demanded internal dispatch logs and the video emerged, the recorded version of the secretary fired back without a hint of delay that the file would absolutely not emerge. The security status assigned to media from that specific room demands an incredibly high congressional authorization benchmark. He claimed that the Armed Services Panel does not inherently meet that rigorous standard. He instructed his staff that if anybody inquired about the events of February, the official response must assert that all presentation procedures adhered strictly to normal military regulations. He ordered them to maintain the fiction that the initial planning stage simply did not exist. He demanded they act as though their controversial dialogue had never taken place. The senator suspended the playback of the second video. He slowly repeated the damning instruction to pretend the dialogue had never taken place. He addressed the surrounding room, pointing out that on the 11th of March, merely 3 days prior to the television broadcast, the secretary instructed his personal personnel to completely deny the late winter gathering ever occurred if lawmakers attempted to ask. He additionally assured his subordinates that he firmly believed this specific legislative panel lacked the necessary clearance to procure those surveillance files. He was profoundly incorrect regarding our retrieval capabilities. The senator's vocal tone diminished to a deeply severe whisper as he addressed the witness directly. You commanded your personnel to function entirely beyond the boundaries of sanctioned procedures. You constructed a bureaucratic apparatus designed specifically to obliterate the resulting proof. You directed knowledgeable individuals to repudiate the truth if subjected to questioning. Furthermore, you independently echoed that falsehood 9 distinct times to the national populace, alongside one additional lie delivered under sworn testimony to this very panel over the previous 40 minutes. According to Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 1001, those actions constitute providing fraudulent declarations to Congress. According to Section 1505 of that same legal code, your conduct qualifies as the obstruction of proceedings. Those specific violations represent severe federal felonies. The defense counsel abruptly rose from his chair. He loudly complained that his client had not been formally indicted for any offense, and he labeled the senator's descriptions as legally provocative and inappropriate. The lawmaker calmly replied that these were simply the established federal laws. Reed stared directly at the legal representative and stated that he did not draft the statutes, but was merely reciting them for the record. He pivoted toward the presiding officer to officially request that the panel forward the situation to the Justice Department for a criminal probe regarding probable breaches of the aforementioned federal statutes. I additionally request that the statements provided today be officially marked as likely contradictory to the verifiable media exhibits introduced into our permanent files. The procedural request received a formal seconding endorsement within a mere 3 seconds. The presiding officer initiated the official roll call. The motion succeeded without fail. Make sure to subscribe to the Homeless People channel immediately because tomorrow we will disclose the identity of the high-ranking defense bureaucrat who marked the late February media for legislative safeguarding instead of standard erasure. A specific individual embedded within the military establishment actively ensured that this panel acquired the devastating video. In our next installment, we will reveal exactly who orchestrated the transfer. The surveillance recordings are absolutely authentic. The digital timestamps have been thoroughly authenticated. The legal summons is completely accessible within the public domain. Consequently, Pete Hegseth has just been forwarded to the Justice Department for deceiving lawmakers 9 distinct times, in addition to one final perjury committed under sworn testimony earlier this morning. Please click the approval icon on this video. Distribute this content across every possible platform. This event absolutely does not represent the conclusion of the narrative. It simply marks the precise moment where the documented evidence finally runs out of dark corners in which to conceal itself. Secure your subscription without delay. Activate your alert preferences. Tomorrow we will officially release the remaining details.